Today we will be talking about the Big Four's conference tournaments, round 2. We will recap a few of yesterday's games and matchups for quarterfinals. Let me start by welcoming you to Davis Sports Report. Go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We would really appreciate it. There were a couple of upsets yesterday and some really good games. Let's get started. First off, with the ACC, Louisville barely took out Clemson in overtime. The final score was 70-68. This game was tight, fast-paced, and very physical the entire game. I don't think that Louisville expected Clemson to give them problems, but oh, did they yesterday. The high scorer was Tatiana Roberts from Louisville with 16 points and 10 rebounds. Now to the SEC. Tennessee took another loss to Vanderbilt. Pierre came in hot, scoring the first 4 points. This was a very high-paced game, as we know that's how Tennessee likes to play because they have a deep bench and do a lot of substitutions. So much so that there was a substitution counter on the screen showing the last time Tennessee subbed out. The steals were stealing, and there were more jump balls than I think I've ever seen in a game. Cooper had a phenomenal game, but her team was lacking just a bit. Z Spearman was hobbling at one point, and I'm not sure that she came back to herself. Tennessee took the lead briefly in the second when they had a 12-2 run, and Vanderbilt's Pierre took a few charges to get the Lady Vols in a bit of foul trouble. Pierre was a name that you heard throughout the entire game, offense and defense. She was the star for Vanderbilt in the game. Forget what you heard. Pierre went down hard in the fourth, shook it off, and continued the game. The high score for Tennessee was Ruby Whitehorn off the bench with 14 points. For Vandy, it was freshman Michaela Blakes with 24 points, Ayanna Moore with 23, and Camille Pierre got a double-double, 16 points and 15 rebounds. Next for the SEC, and I only plan to highlight one game per conference, but I had to mention that the Gators upset Alabama. My apologies to the Gators for not believing in you. You have won me back. And all I have to say about this game was Liv McGill. Huge fan of the Florida freshman. Yesterday, she scored 29 points, and Sarah Ashley Barker with Alabama had 24. This was a very entertaining game. Now for the Big Ten, we are covering Iowa pushing past Michigan State, and this one was a battle to the bitter end. Both teams left it all on the court, and the threes were raining down. The collapsed defense of Michigan State was impressive, and they really took Iowa out of their norms. In the bottom of the third, it appeared that Iowa was going to pull away with a large enough lead to get a comfortable win, but Michigan just kept coming back. The high scorer of the game was Lucy Olson with 21 points. Despite the scores, these teams performed pretty evenly. Both ended with 6 3-pointers. 31 and 32 rebounds. Iowa had 5 more steals and 7 more free throws. So this game really could have gone either way. And lastly, for the Big 12, it was a pretty good day for the state of Iowa. We pretty much expected Iowa State to take out Arizona State, despite the fact that Iowa State doesn't have a great record. They are a solid team. Audie Crooks and Addison Brown are top-tier players. In this game, they showed their strengths. Addie Brown ended with a whopping 41 points, having 5 3-pointers. Audie Crooks ended with 20 points. Arizona State did well hanging with the Cyclones in the first half, but the deal was sealed in the second. For Arizona State, Jaylen Brown had 26 points, and Ty Skinner put up 23. It was a good fight for both of those ladies. Moving on to the quarterfinal schedule, and the top 4 have entered the chat. For the ACC, North Carolina will face Tania Latson and the FSU Seminoles. This game can be seen on ESPN2. Georgia Tech will face North Carolina State, and I am looking forward to this one. It can be seen on the ACC network. Cal will play Notre Dame on ESPN2, and Louisville will play Duke on the ACC network. For the SEC, Vanderbilt will go up against South Carolina, and Oklahoma will face Kentucky. Both of these games can be seen on ESPN. Then Ole Miss will go up against number 1 ranked Texas. And my Florida Gators will play LSU, and these two games can be viewed on the SEC network. Moving on to the Big Ten, Indiana will face Juju Watkins and the Trojans. Michigan will face Maryland. Nebraska will go up against UCLA, and Iowa will face Ohio State. All of these games can be seen on the Big Ten network. And for the Big 12, we will have Kansas State against West Virginia. Colorado versus Van Lith and Princess TCU. Both of these games can be seen on ESPNU. Then Iowa State will face Baylor, and Texas Tech will face off against Oklahoma State Cowgirls. And these two games can be seen on ESPN+. And that's all we have for you today. But my question is, do you think the top 4 teams will make it to the next round, or will there be an upset? As we know, many of these teams had tying records with their opponents, and a single game gave them the edge. Let me know your thoughts below. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, share with a friend, and come back here tomorrow. We'll see you then. Have a good one.